This is Engineer Uchenna Akaluso. I am a DevOps slash SRE engineer. Glad to have you guys back again. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Today, we're going to present some quick demos on Python. Very, very quick demos. But before I proceed, of course, peace, love, I love you. Good to have you guys back again. So, how have you guys been? Wow, I cannot believe the year is almost over, guys. This is 2021, and the year is almost over. So, how are you guys doing? How has it been? I know it's been quite a transition for a lot of us with jobs, family, a lot of things going on in the world, and in the world of technology, of course, we have a lot, right? A lot going on. So, I did a video of Python, a live quick demo. And so today is going to be part 2 of that demo. So it's going to be some real quick tips. This video is relevant if you're having interviews and you're having to demonstrate some Python skills. It's also very, very relevant for those of us who are interviewing for DevOps slash SRE jobs. Funny enough, sometimes when you go into these interviews, they would ask questions like, well, what's your what programming languages have you used in the past, right? They always ask those questions. So when they ask those questions, we want to be able to, respond to those questions or, answer those questions appropriately. So today, what I have for you is some things that we can learn so that way when we go into the interviews, we succeed, right? So my goal is for all of us to succeed. So it's not just my passion, it is my compassion. And another thing I wanted to share with you guys before we start, I'm not going to waste too much of your time, is sometimes in these interviews, guys, they just might ask a question, like I said earlier, or they might ask you to, demonstrate a skill, demonstrate some kind of skill, like when have you used Python? What have you used it for? They might set up an IDE and ask you to do some kind of coding or answer some questions about coding, right? So we're going to cover those things. All right, so please, I can't say it enough. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And also, before I continue, I am starting this live class for DevOps slash SRE. It's completely free. It's actually upcoming. So if you watch some of our other videos, the video that talks about DevOps slash SRE free course, that's exactly what I was talking about. I will be offering a course very soon. It's going to start in the month of December. We don't have a date set yet, but what we're doing right now is the first phase is getting people to sign up. So if you need to get a hold of me, there's 2 ways. The first way is through my email. That's my last name, Akaluso, AKALUSO, the number 40 at gmail.com. The second way is through LinkedIn. So let me pull up LinkedIn real quick. Give me 1 second. And of course, I need to share my screen so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Let's share the screen quickly. Right there. Good. Great. 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 All right. So here is my LinkedIn, guys. Okay. That's me right there. That's my name. I'm a software engineer level 2. And here's information about me, okay? So I'll let you guys go back and read that letter later. Sorry, I said letter. I'll have you guys read that later. So this is my profile here. This is my certifications. That's my degrees. I'll let you go read that letter. But in case you need to get a hold of me at any time, you can reach me through my LinkedIn or through the email address that I provided. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, and let's cancel that for a second. Let's see. All right, so yes, that is my LinkedIn. So today we're going to cover a couple of things about Python, and there's a lot of things that they ask on interviews, right? So for those of us who would be specializing in if you're looking for like a Python engineering job, they might ask you more than what I'm showing you today, but it's a good guide. So, and then also for a lot of us, they're like I said earlier, if you're applying for DevOps or SRE jobs and you're doing interviews, this would be highly relevant, right? Because your whole interview is not just going to focus on Python. I mean, they'll ask questions about other things, right? So your Kubernetes, your Terraforms, your Ansibles, your YAML files, your cloud provider, they ask other things. But this is very, very good for you guys because it will give you guys a good insight and it will give you hands-on knowledge and tools that you can use and you can demonstrate in the interview, right? Because it's all about being successful. So after I've said all that, I'm going to reshare my screen and then we're going to start. So give me 1 second here. Let me reshare my screen again. Okay, no, good, 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 good. So there you go. All right. So Python, right? So for those of you who want to read more about Python, this is the official Python site. It's python.org. You can go there, read more information about Python, how it's being used, what it's used for. It's a good programming tool. It's good for debugging. It's good for a lot of things. So you can go there. You can also go on YouTube and search and do a Google search and use as many resources as possible. So this is just one place, okay? There are also other places. You can go to places like DataQuest is also a very good site, okay? There's Codecademy. That's also another good one. There's also this one that I use a lot, which is called W3 Schools, this one, okay? So whichever you prefer is fine, just as long as you start with the process of gaining knowledge of what Python is and how it works, that's great. But in the class, when we start that class in December, I will go into more detail. So these are just resources. And by the way, and once again, I am not being sponsored by any of these sites, DataQuest, Codecademy, W3. I'm not being sponsored. These are all free resources for you, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and step into this Python. Yeah, let's step into Python. All right, give me 1 second. Let's just make sure that the screen is being shared. Yes, it is being shared. So let's go back here. Yeah, all right. So a couple of things, guys, on Python, right? When we go into these interviews, we don't know how far they're going to ask. Sometimes they do ask, when have you used it? What have you used it for? Sometimes they could set up stuff like this, like an IDE, where, well, IDE stands for Interactive Development Environment. They could set up stuff like this, or they could set up a PyCharm and ask you to do some kind of coding. So we have to be always ready, always prepared, right? That's my stance. So one thing that they can ask you on the interview is this, right? I have this right here. They could bring something out like this, like a list, okay? And they could say, okay, well, I have these two lists right here. Can you combine the lists? Okay, so here's one list and here's the second list, and you want to combine the lists. And once again, guys, in the class, we'll go into more detail. But if you want to learn how to do some of these things, you can use those sites that I just talked about, the DataQuest, the Codecademy, the W3 School. You can use all those to practice, okay? So let's say we have these two lists right here. There's one that says DevOps, and then there's all this information in it. And then there's SRE, and there's all this information. So how do we know that this is a list, by the way? I'll backtrack for a second. So a list, right, would have square brackets like this. That's a list. And I'll talk later about some other questions they ask about data types. So let's say, for example, we want to combine these two. You can pick a variable to represent the combination, right? In this case, I use Cloud Engineer. You can say X is equal to or Y is equal to or any kind of variable, as long as the variable has the right type of syntax, okay? So before we continue, which reminds me, when you're setting up your variables, there's a couple of things you have to remember. First of all, a variable cannot have a $ like this in front of it. Do you guys see what happened? It turns red, okay? It can also not have a number in front of it. So that's not a legitimate variable, okay? It can also not have this guy going on, this hyphen like that. That's not legitimate. It can also not have a gap, okay? Underscore is fine. So I use this word as a variable to combine DevOps and SRE. So you write it like this, DevOps plus SRE. Your next command, you're going to say print, right? So when you say print cloud engineer, this is your outcome. You guys see that? Let me just, let's see here. So this right here is the outcome of this command. See how it prints out the list, the combination of two, these two, this one and that one. See it? Okay. All right. So that's one possible question that they can ask on an interview. So it'll be kind of nice to know how to do it. And if you're not sure of how to do it, just go back and practice. And then, of course, we're going to start that class in December of 2021, of course. We're going to start that class, so we'll go into more detail. All right, so the next thing is number 2. What is the difference between the following collection data types? Aha. So in Python, there's different data types, right? There's your lists, there's your tuple, there's a set, and there's dictionaries, right? So the first one that we did here earlier is a list. So sometimes they might ask you a question about what are the differences? You know, what is the difference between a list and a tuple, or a tuple and a dictionary, and things like that. So if you guys can look down here real quick, this is an example of a dictionary. A dictionary, when we have a dictionary, it's stored as a key value pair. Key value pair. That's how the data is stored. So what I mean by that is, for example, this list right here, food represents the key, turkey is the value, drink is the key, water is the value. Here, fun is the key, watch is the value. Okay. So actually we can add one more thing here. Well, okay, let's see here. And then I'm going to add one more, sports. One second, guys. Yeah, sports. And then let's say basketball, right? Let me just add something, basketball. All right, I hope I'm smiling enough, guys. I hope I am smiling. You know, it's funny, I do all these videos and sometimes I have this serious face, you know, serious mood. I am serious about what I'm doing, but I have to develop the habit of, you know, looking at the camera, making sure I'm smiling, making sure I'm maintaining that good energy. Okay. So how am I doing, guys? Good so far? Okay. All right. So back here to what I was talking about. So this is an example of a dictionary. So they could ask you in the interview, like, what is the difference between a dictionary and a list? First of all is the structure. You guys look up here, you see how this list looks? So list is not stored as a key value pair, but dictionaries are. So this is what I mean by key value pair. So you have the word, which is covered by colons, and then the colon here, and then this word right here. Okay, so see how this is stored or written? List is not written the same way. That's one difference. The second difference is the structure. So dictionaries use curly braces. You guys see this right here? These are curly braces. And lists just use square brackets. Okay, so this right here is important, guys. They could ask that question. You know, you can go into things like the fact that you cannot have duplicates in dictionaries. If you want to know more about that, just come to the class, or you can search it up. We'll discuss more, but I don't want to eat up a lot of your time going into heavy detail. These are just some of the things that you can learn that will be important for you to excel in the interview. Okay. All right. So the third thing they could possibly ask you about is how to sort a list, right? So here's an example of how of a list. So let's say, for example, I have this list. By the way, this variable, I just made up the variable. I'm just using this for an example. Okay. So let's say we have this list and we have all these numbers and we need to sort them. What I mean by sorting is we want to go from the lowest number to the highest number. So how would you do that? So let me run through real quick on how to do this. Let's see here. Here. It'll probably be easier if I just copy this, right? Okay, we'll just copy this. And come down here and paste it. There you go. Okay, and we want to sort. So the command for that is this way. This is how we do it. Okay, and it should be correct. The one thing to know about Python, guys, is that Python is an interpretive language. And what do I mean by that? It means that when you type on Python like this, it interprets what you're typing. So like this up here, it sees this as a variable. Of course, as long as you type it correctly, if there's an error, it's going to point that out. Okay. So it interprets everything that we type on the screen. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So for Python to go ahead and sort this list, that's why I typed this command here. So see how it highlights this word in purple. So it's gonna carry out this command because it recognizes that I'm trying to sort the list. So whenever you do stuff like that, you go ahead and hit your run. Let's cross our fingers. It should work. Okay, see, there's an issue right there. All right, so let's figure out what the issue is. So we're trying to sort this list, job interview / rounds. So it says here, list is a collection of, okay, so right now I have a lot of things on the screen. So how about we do this? I have a lot of things on the screen, so I don't want to confuse you guys with all the information that I have on the screen. So let's just erase this and go here and wait. All right, so let's run this command here. All right, so you guys see that? So this is the initial list we had, right? And we need to sort this, right? So sorting, by what I mean by that is we want the smallest number to be in front, followed by all the other numbers. So ascending order from the lowest number to the highest. So you guys see how this number was right here? This 2 right here is now here. So it sorted everything out. So 2, 5, 6, 8, 23, 45, 80, 99, 120, 690. Okay. So it sorted the list for us. So let me minimize this. So once again, don't worry about this stuff. It's just I have too many things on the screen right now, and so I don't want to like confuse you guys. Because if you notice, like over here, I was supposed to comment out all this stuff right here. It's probably trying to read all this stuff. That's another thing you guys should remember. When you put a hashtag in front of a sentence, once again, Python is interpretive. So it's not going to run these as codes. But if you don't put stuff like that, then it's gonna think that you're trying to run all these things that you're writing. But these are all comments. So whenever you want to comment something out, you put a hashtag like this in front of it. Okay. So that is how to sort. So I showed you guys how to sort right here. Okay, so that's done. And please, if you have any questions after this session, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said earlier, we can book a session. I'm fairly busy during the week because I have a full-time job that I do as a software engineer. But if you have questions outside of my full-time job, we can set up something and work stuff out. One other thing I must point out before I forget, guys, is the class that will be starting in December is completely free. So it's going to be on Saturdays. It's going to be for an hour to an hour and a half, completely free. You don't pay any money. You don't Zelle or Cash App me anything. As long as you take the class on a Saturday, and it's going to be for an hour to an hour and a half, absolutely free. If you want to get more information about why it's free and why I'm offering the course, go back and check out some of my other videos where I talk about this course and talk about, I think it's DevOps SRE free course part 1. Watch that video and it gives you more information. Okay, I'm not going to eat up a lot of your time on that. Okay. So where did I stop? Let's go back over here. So I was talking about sorting. Give me 1 second, guys. I was talking about comments. Sorry, go back. So when you try to make a statement or you're trying to write out or give explanation of what you're doing, you always want to put this hashtag in front of it. Okay, like that. So we did this one right here. That's your sorting. The next thing I want to talk about is in the interview, they could ask you questions like, what else have you done with Python? Well, you can say, well, I've used it to validate a YAML file. So for those of you who don't know what a YAML file is, just go and search that up. When you take the class, we'll go into more detail. We're not going to do that right this second, but let me just show you guys an example of how to use Python to validate a file. 1 second here. So yeah, like I said earlier, before I go back to that. So this is the response for this one right here. So this question number 3, the sorting, that's the answer. Okay. So once again, when you're working with these things, try to do each question one at a time. I know I have a lot of things here, but I wrote these things down so we can kind of go through them one by one. So this result right here is the same result that I got right here. This one, this result. Okay. Same thing. Okay. And the good thing about Python is if you make errors, it would show, it would say there's an indentation error or syntax error. It's going to give you that response. All right, so here we go. So validating a file, a YAML file. So let me pull up a sample YAML file here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so we're going to use this one. It's just a sample YAML file from a GitHub repository. So let's say, for example, you're trying to do this. And what am I talking about really is when you're trying to run your YAML files, sometimes you want to verify and make sure that it's valid. That process in engineering is called linting. Linting, L-I-N-T-I-N-G, linting. You're trying to validate the file, so it's called linting. So let me copy this. Let me go back and copy this, guys. 1 second. So let's copy this over. There you go. Copy that. And we're going to go here. All right. I'm going to paste right there. All right. So this application runs in Python. So on an interview type situation, you can say that you've used an application that runs in Python and you've used it to validate a YAML file. So like I said earlier, linting or lint, L-I-N-T, that's the process. Okay. So all you do is you copy the file and you paste it here. After you paste it here, you hit go. You guys see that? So it's validated this YAML file. That means that this file, this YAML file is valid. It doesn't have any issues. So it has the correct syntax and structure and all that good stuff. So this is just an example. Okay. All right. So let's go back here. And you know what, guys? Let me check out the time. Sorry. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. So far, so good. All right, so let's push back to here. All right, so that's how we can use that. So you guys see right here, I said it's the process. The process is called linting. Okay. What if you're asked to reverse a list? That's number 4. We're almost done, guys. What if you're being asked to reverse a list? So what do I mean by that? Let me copy this over here. And let me paste it here. Let's go right here, paste. Good. So sometimes in an interview, there could be like, well, okay, you've used it for so-and-so. Okay, let me have you do this. So they give you this list and they want you to reverse it. Here is how I would do it. I'm sure there might be other ways to do it, but this is what I would do, guys. So you type this right here, just like I've typed it. Square brackets, colon, -1. Okay. And then you come back over here and you say print. And what do you want to print? You want to print this variable. So it'd probably be faster if I just copy and paste it. So let's just copy and paste this. Copy this. And right here, paste. Okay. So with everything being correct, then we should have this whole list reversed. So this 99 that is in front should be in the back, and the 8 should be in front. So everything should be completely reversed. So let's run this command right here. And funny enough, guys, I'll share this quick story. In one of my interviews, this question came up. I was asked to reverse a list. I kid you not, this question came up. She typed a list on an IDE like this, and she asked, her question was, how would you go about reversing this? So I'm glad I know how to do it now. So if the same question comes again, I'll be able to answer it. So that's the key thing, guys. When you get your questions on an interview, let me not go too far, but specifically Python, and you're not sure of how to do it, please go back and research. Please go back, because if you get an interview after interview and some of these things keep repeating and you keep missing them, then you're just it would make you fall behind in the process. I'm not saying that you would not get the next interview, because as a DevOps engineer or SRE engineer, your whole interview is not going to be all Python, but just a little portion of it, they might ask you about a programming language. And if your answer is Python, then it'll be nice to know some of these things, right? Okay. So here's the outcome. So I was able to reverse this list. You guys see what's going on? So this 8 that was at the end is now in the beginning. So the whole thing is reversed. Okay. So that's how to reverse a list. Let's see here. So another thing, guys, is which brings us to number 5, is debugging. Sometimes when we type code and we write code, for the fact that, let's say, it has the wrong syntax, wrong indentation, you didn't completely spell out the variable, or any kind of technical thing, you might have a wrong output. And bugs are not good, right? Bugs can actually break code. So a part of what they could ask you on an interview is things like debugging. Have you done that before? How would you do it? So for example, let's say, for example, we're trying to type out, I'm trying to reverse this list, right? And mistakenly, I typed here, I left out this S. Okay, I left it out because, human error. And I tried to reverse the list. Let's see what happens. Do you guys see that? See how we have this error? It says traceback. And it says here, job interview round is not defined. You see that? Because the variable here has an S in it, but this, mistakenly, I didn't put an S. So you see how it's giving me this error. Okay. So your syntax is correct, is important. What you type out is very, very important. Your indentation has to do with stuff like this. Let's say I move this over. It's not in the right place or something like that. Let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens with that. You guys see? You see the error? It says indentation error, meaning that this right here is at the wrong spot. That's not where it should be. If I'm going to ask Python to print out this variable, then we need to correct it. So it needs to be here. That's why it's giving us this big unexpected indent. So now that I fixed this, I'm going to run it again, and let's see what happens. See? Magic. Complete magic. Okay. So let's see here. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, not bad. We're pretty much wrapping things up here. We're wrapping things up here. Let's see here. Okay. So let's go back to that screen. No, we don't want to go there. We want to go here. Okay. So yes, the last thing, like I said, guys, is debugging, being able to debug. Okay, they could ask you questions like that, because sometimes as an engineer, you run into issues and you want to be able to troubleshoot and find out why. Is there a bug in the code? Is this something that you have to refer back to the developers and things like that? Okay. So let me just kind of go back and reiterate some of the things that we talked about today. So possibly in interviews or in general, you could be asked about how to combine the lists, and they could pull up an IDE or a PyCharm and ask you to actually perform the operation or code it. You could be asked a difference about the different data types, right? Like we talked about here in number 2. They could also ask you about things like how to sort a list. So it'd be kind of nice to know how to do that, right? Which we covered here. They could also ask you things about validating. Well, if you say on the interview that you've used Python to validate a YAML file, they might ask you to demonstrate, right? So I gave you guys a demonstration of how that works. Okay, and we used the process is called linting. It's called linting. YAML lint. So you can use something like this to perform that operation. Okay. Now, what else, guys? What else? Also, they could ask you to reverse a list, right? So I showed you guys right here how to reverse a list. And the last thing we talked about today is debugging. So all those things are very good things to know, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me go back here. Give me 1 second. I'm sure. There you go. All right. So sorry, scroll that way. All right. So yes, very nice, very good stuff. So those are some of the things I want to share with you guys real quick today. Like I said earlier, it is my passion, not just passion, but compassion. I want all of us to go out and succeed. It's a learning process for all of us. I mean, myself included. Okay. So a lot of things I shared today would help you guys out a lot. And keep studying. Don't give up. Never take rejections personal. Go through the process. But for me, a lot of times, if you've asked me questions on an interview regarding Python and I was not too sure, I always go back and do a little research. Okay. And it's very, very important. So if you guys have any questions, once again, reach out to me. You can send me an email. You can also reach me on my LinkedIn. Go out there and grind, guys. The class, like I said, will be coming up in December. No date mentioned yet. The reason is we're still signing people up. We're still gathering people who are interested in the program and who want to take the course for free. If you want to find out why it's free, go watch the first video where I talk about DevOps/SRE engineer free course. Go and check that out. It's under my name. You just search it up on YouTube. And I gave the reasons of why it's being offered. As long as you take the class on a Saturday for an hour to an hour and a half, absolutely free. And really, guys, I'm not coming across as the guy that knows every single thing. I've not met an engineer, a software engineer that says they know every single thing there is to know. But I want to be more of a roadmap for you guys, because a lot of us, when we're starting out, we don't know what path to take. We want to be DevOps engineers or SRE engineers, but we might end up taking all these certifications, which certifications are great. I'm not against certifications, but I want to provide you guys a more of a practical way to and a roadmap to get to where you're going. A lot of times when we're studying and we don't really have that guide, we might be going too deep. Like, for example, I talked about Python today. And for the sake of an interview, for those of you going for the DevOps/SRE, you might not have to go so far and so deep into Python, but there's certain necessary fundamental things that we need to know to excel in the interview. So I want to provide you guys with that map. It's not just Python. When we start the class, we're going to go into other things. You can watch some of my other videos. That first video I told you about the free course, where I outline the courses, the tools that we're going to be learning about. You can learn more about that. Okay. So yeah, please reach out to me. Tell me about your journey. Tell me about how many interviews you've had, what questions. If there are any questions that have popped up regarding Python in your interview that you feel were not in this session, let me know. I mean, this is just, a sample of what you can expect on your interview. So I really appreciate it. Reach out to me, share your story. And like I said, more of what I'm going to show you guys in the course that we're going to take is different strategies of how to learn and what things to focus on. Of course, a lot of things are going to be important. The class is going to be for 6 months. Will it be shorter than 6 months? I doubt it. There's a lot of things that we need to learn. a lot of things, right? So it's going to require dedication from myself, sacrifice from myself, from you guys too. It's a joint effort. We're going to collaborate. We're going to use a lot of tools. I will use a lot of abstract examples and demonstrations to kind of get all of us to kind of understand the concept of DevOps and SRE. But for this video right here, quick demo on Python. I hope it was very helpful for you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. And from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you guys, those of you who have checked out my previous videos and the content that I have. I appreciate you guys so much. Okay. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. Go out there and shine, grind, do your interviews, round ones, round twos, 3, 4, 5, whatever the case might be. Stay strong, stay focused. Okay. And enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. Once again, my name is Engineer Uchenna Akaluso. I am a DevOps/SRE engineer. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Peace. Love. I love you. Stay blessed.